Welcome along to the last day of our Magical Worlds tour, and today we are visiting the very magical Mossy Isles. We will be colouring this page with these Faber Castell colouring pencils in the red box. It's like how I always think of them. They are a brilliant set of pencils. They are not very expensive at all. You get 60 pencils in this packet and they are all super lovely for colouring. Look at all those colours. Right, let's get colouring, shall we? Getting sidetracked by the rainbowness of everything here. So our last stop on this magical tour is the Mossy Isles, where the climate and terrain of these floating islands make them the perfect place for mushroom farming. These small farming communities produce the world's best mushrooms and toadstools, used by famous chefs and potion makers throughout the magical worlds. There you go. That's a little bit about our final world that we're visiting. And I do like to batch out areas in similar colours so I can do them all in one go. Mainly because I find if I do a little bit of green and then work on something else, I forget the exact shade of green that I was using. And yes, I could write it down on a bit of paper and have a colour chart, but I'm just not that organised. So I find it's easier to do all the similar bits in one go while I have the pencils to hand. So lots of nice shades of green here. We want to create something that's very lush and vibrant. And then we're going to start work on our little mushrooms and toadstools. So I'm pushing quite hard on the outside of these and then releasing the pressure a bit in the middle just to give that impression of like a shine line down the middle, if that makes sense. And then when it comes to the stalks, I'm actually just adding a little bit of off-white, almost a cream, because you could just leave them plain white, but I sometimes think that looks a little bit unfinished. So a wee bit of colour just sort of softens that off. You could either use a really pale cream like this or even a really, really pale grey works nicely as well. Now I'm adding a bit of colour to these different flowers. Originally I thought these were going to be like purple tulips, but I wanted something different to the red of the toadstools. So purple was going to be too similar, so I've kind of gone for an inverted bluebell. And that's the wonderful thing about my books. Although they are loosely based on real life plants, animals, places, I always take inspiration from there and then make them my own. So then that way there's no right or wrong colour. You can use anything you want. These are not tulips. I have no idea what they are, but we are going to colour them blue today and that is absolutely perfectly right. So here we have the start of I don't know, the body of the island. What do you call this bit? The stone of the island? I'm using a few shades actually that I used in the stalks of the mushrooms just to gently lay down a bit of colour initially, and then we'll go back in and build up the colour. Especially with things like this, I think you're good to go gently. If we were to try and lay down really thick, heavy colour right from the get-go, because it's quite a big area, I think that can get a little bit overwhelming. When in doubt, always go gently, apply gentle layers of colour and build it up. It's a bit like eyeshadow. You don't want to go in there heavy-handed. Go in lightly, build it up, and it'll look so much more coherent. You'll have so much more control over the process, and honestly, it's less scary. Now we have these little mossy hillocks. I'm just adding a bit of green to them. We'll get working on our little turtle there. And also these flowers that are falling down, they're kind of like strung together bluebells. As I say, everything in these books is imagined. There's not much here that you could really track back to real life, which I think is wonderful because then you can colour them exactly as you want. You can make them your own and there's no right or wrong. You don't need to worry and look up colour references and make sure that everything is perfect because really I've just invented them, so whichever way you colour them is right. Just layering up a few more greens here. There's quite a few little animals hidden in this page. I'm just noticing now. We've got the spider, a few butterflies, the turtle. There's also some little windows on the island because I figure there must be some subterranean farming going on as well. You know, these mushrooms, they like to be underground and in dark places. So we'll have a little bit of an underground farm there too, and you can see the little windows into there. I love colouring that kind of zesty green colour. In every packet of pencils that I have, it is the zesty green that gets used up first. It's just my go-to colour. I think because it's so fresh, and also it's just a great first shade. So if you were doing one big picture and you want to look coherent, limit your colour palette. It's my main bit of advice for everyone. Don't go wild and use all the 72 pencils in your packet. Just pick out 5 or 6, and with something like this, have 3 or 5 shades of green that you're going to use over the entire picture, and have one light shade that you lay down first that becomes almost like your base shade, and then you can put your other greens over the top. Right, we're really getting through this now. We've added a few more extra little bits. We've got the waterfall falling off there. We've got some moss. We've got a wee fish hiding. Final little bits, we've got this little building at the top, the dwelling. It's got, I think it's a lighthouse, I'm not quite sure, but a little light in the top. I always colour in windows yellow so that it looks like there's a cosy light within that's sort of radiating out. I used to colour them blue so it just looked like shiny glass, but I think a yellow warm tint is much cosier. And there we have it. That was our final day of the Magical Worlds book tour. I hope you've had lots of ideas and inspiration for your own colouring, and I can't wait to see how you bring this book to life.